Let's see how you can make a history of your ETF's prices in Microsoft Excel. Please watch closely so you can get the right prices. I have an example for you. An ETF tracker in Excel that follows the SPY ETF. This tracker shows the current price, the percentage change, and the time period in a chart. You can change the time period, and the chart will update accordingly. Now, let's go through the steps to create your own ETF price history. I'll start by making a new worksheet and adding some basic information to it. First, we need to decide which ETF we want to use. I'll write that in cell B3. Next, we need to specify the time period we're interested in, which means the start date and end date for the ETF history. These were the first things we need to begin with. Now, let's fill in the ETF details. I'm using SPY as an example, and for the start date, we'll use January 1st, 2023. For the end date, we'll choose October 10th, 2023. Getting historical stock market prices into Excel will make use of a built-in function. We begin this in cell B7 by typing an equal sign and then the function named stock history. This function requires parameters and we'll provide it step by step. First, it wants to know the stock we're interested in, which is the ETF in cell B3, in our case SPY. Then, it asks for the start date and end date. Now, for the following parameter, we have some options to choose from. We can decide if we want daily, weekly, or monthly prices. I'll go with daily prices, which is represented by the number 0. We can also choose whether to include headers with the imported data. I'll include headers in this case. Next, we move to the last configuration step, which involves specifying the properties we want to see. You don't have to select all of them. It's up to you. In our case, I want to see the date, closing price, opening price, highest price of the day, lowest price, and the trading volume. We've now set up the function with these parameters, so we close it with a bracket. After everything is set up, we can give it a go. I'll make the column a bit wider so we can see the date and volume clearly. We can see we have a complete history of stock market prices for our ETF. You'll notice that the start date is January 3rd. The first is probably not a trading day, so it starts from the 3rd. The end date depends on how far you scroll down. If you want to change the parameters, you can switch from daily to weekly, and that will give you weekly prices. Just remember that properties like opening, high, and low prices are weekly averages. With the stock price history now loaded into Microsoft Excel, we can move on to the next step, which is creating a chart based on this historical pricing data. I'll add some space, and then we'll insert a chart that represents our stock market prices. In this case, we'll go with a line chart. I will choose the chart type and set it up. I'll click on Select Data and focus on the closing price. We want to visualize the price changes of this ETF. If you prefer, you can also change the chart type to a candlestick chart, which is commonly used in financial analysis. To do this, you need to change the chart type from a line chart to a price chart. Here you can select the opening price, high price, low price, and closing price. It's important to follow the correct order. You should first select the opening price, then the high price, followed by the low price, and finally, the closing price. In our case, let's make sure we have these values in the correct order. I'll move the opening price to the first position and the closing price to the last position. Now, we can change the chart type to show the opening, high, low, and closing prices. Let's give it a try. I'll insert the chart again by selecting our data and choosing a different type of line chart. We'll adjust the settings so that the vertical axis doesn't start at 0. And as you can see, we now have the candlestick charts. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment, and I'll do my best to answer. I would appreciate it if you join me in the next video. Until then, I wish you all the best and much success.